Alrighty now, good morning. 9 to noon is here to tell you it officially has come to an end. And what a run. Years and years of hard work and performative service for a voluminous number of adoring fans, and it just ends. Yes, there absolutely was jubilation meeting sorrow, but it's over. And now we all move on. The Seattle Seahawks are world champions.
Six in the secondary, Stevenson the back, in the gun on the NFL logo, 48 of Seattle. His second-year quarterback, Drake May. The snap is there, drifting back 7, tosses up, he's hit and brought down, sacked on the play by Witherspoon. He's come in twice and pulled up a play, losing 10, and they're back to the New England 42.
Drake May on second down looks. Drake May gets wrapped up by Mills. Mills takes his defender, pushes him into the backfield, and oh, by the way, grabs the quarterback on the way to the ground for a sack. The third sack of the game by the Seahawks.
Darnold under center, 5 on the defensive line. He gets the snap, turns right, takes the handoff. Here comes the blitz. There goes the throw in front. Caught, touchdown! Caught, touchdown, Warner! The tight end over the shoulder catch in the corner of the end zone. And we've got our first touchdown of Super Bowl 60.
May from the shotgun. Second down and 3. Steps up in the pocket, gonna let one fly down the seam, and it's intercepted. Coming back near side 40, 45, midfield Julian Love, 40, steps out of bounds. On the near sideline in front of the Patriots bench, Julian Love.
Snap to May, stands and throws a long ball left, looking for Hollins. He makes the grab under the shoulder, into his red gloves. Touchdown, Patriots!
2 plays, quick straight capability to the guy with height. Where's the zone?
In the gun, Drake May, third down 5. He's at his Patriot 44. Running back to his side, Stevenson. Arms outstretched, 4-man rush. Here's the snap. He moves up. He fumbled the ball, and Seattle's recovered. He was hit. The ball crowbarred free. It's a fumble by the Patriot quarterback. And Seattle is recovered at the 37 of New England. Shotgun snap, 44 Seattle. He's hit as he drops back. The ball free. Picked up by Nwosu. Running down the side, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown! It's picked off and a touchdown. Seattle has scored on another turnover. And that will seal it seems, right now for the Seahawks in Super Bowl 60.
May flips it to the right, flat caught by Travion Henderson, turns and runs across the 45, inside the 40, spins past the 35, tackled across the 30, and that'll be the final play in Super Bowl 60 as the Seattle Seahawks celebrate a 29-13 victory over the Patriots here in Santa Clara.
May dumps it off underneath. Ball is caught. It's Henderson. He is tackled in bounds. 3, 2, 1. The Seahawks. They're bringing it home again for the second time in less than 12 years. The Seahawks win Super Bowl 60. They are bringing the Lombardi back to the Northwest, and the party begins at Levi Stadium and in Seattle, and it won't stop for days.
Super Bowl stories.
Chance to party with the Lombardi. Hey there, 9 to noon is in the air. Nordo organizes, creates, produces, and crafts, and I'm Paul Allen. The Seahawks are champions, and even though New England will be perceived as chumps, that ain't the case. You got the champs, and to some you got the chumps, but that ain't the case. For the loser Pats, Super Bowl 60 reminded me of, believe it or not, several Vikings games we witnessed this year, including one at the Cappuccino Capitol against Sam the Man who used to be on the Fan and the champion Seahawks. And here's the payoff. The defense for New England, the defense and the punter were doing just everything to keep things cohesive and close. But the elasticity of said union only had so much pull, and eventually it rips apart. And there's gridiron carnage with a lack of offense. The old, that young quarterback is confused trick For Seattle coach Mike Macdonald, it's the oldest trick in the book. I mean, Drake May, fine young man, terrific quarterback, probably needed the experience, will be no worse for the wear. Drake had to be like, all right, got you. It's zone. Oh, wait. As Seattle coyly disguises and plays man defense, and the second-year Tar Heel was like, dang. And then he misfires, even though somebody's probably wide open. Or Drake might have been like against the confusion created by the learned Mike Macdonald. May might have been like, finally, yes, an open man. Oh, wait, how did Julian Love end up with the ball?
Oh, my gosh.
If you're a kid quarterback, Mike Macdonald's playground is a place you would be best to avoid. As defensive coordinator for the Ravens, or head coach of the champion Chickens, Macdonald, coach of the Seahawks, 7-0 versus kid quarterbacks 24 years of age or younger or in their first 2 years of service.
Oh, my gosh.
Here are the casualties. Denver's Bo Nix last year, 26 of 42 passing, 138 yards, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions. Chicago's Caleb Williams, 16 of 28, $122, 7 sacks, and a pick. Houston's C.J. Stroud, 23 of 49, 229, 3 sacks, a touchdown, and a pick. Tennessee's Cam Ward, week 12 this year, 28 of 42, 256, 4 sacks, and just 1 touchdown. Minnesota's Max Brosmer, undrafted, Sky Yuma, 19 of 30, $126, 4 sacks, 4 interceptions. Ernie Jones galloping to the end zone. Carolina's Bryce Young, 14 of 24, 54 yards. That was this year. 2 sacks and a pick. And then Drake May yesterday, bewildered, befuddled, and brain-boggled all game. 6 sacks, 2 picks, and 1 broken heart. And 1 broken heart. Mike Macdonald has a D, E-I-E-I-O, and on his D he has some dogs, E-I-E-I-O. My power rankings for Super Bowl excellence go a little bit like this. Seattle's defense going level 4 Einstein with ferocity on the learned and talented Drake May. That's number 1. MVP Kenneth Walker and his 161 total. That's number 2. And number 3,
Fox.
Alan Roach, the voice of U.S. Bank Stadium, just landed in Milan, like right now, to Vox Olympic Hockey. All right, he's the Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox, voice of U.S. Bank Stadium. You know him well. From the welcome all the way to the coin toss with some Jerry Rice, Peyton Manning, and Joe Montana intro-related side dish clipping penalties. The Vox of all Vox, Voxes ever to Vox, nailed some of the longest reads in the history of Big Spot reads, with millions and millions watching and listening and word for word, emphasis by emphasis, and crescendo into crescendo. Our Alan Roach handled the massive spot with perfection. Number 3 on my power rankings behind that Einstein-like Seattle defense. And then Kenneth Walker III, who's unrestricted as of now. And Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox. What's up, Nordo?
Wow, what a game last night in the regard that it went kind of how we anticipated it throughout the week. I'm glad you mentioned Vox of all Voxes ever to Vox. I never have the sound on during pregame. The TV's on.
Yeah.
But we got Kid Chaos. We got all those things going on. And then I see him, I had it on low and I hear the voice and the various bits. We're welcoming Green Day pregame. So I gotta pump that up a little bit. Then to the coin toss describing the coin.
Yes.
He sets the scene.
I mean, word for word.
Yeah.
I mean, nary a stumble.
No.
Nary. I mean, if there was supposed to be air there to let something breathe for emphasis, it was breathing.
Yes, it was.
He fired bullets, Vox of all Voxes.
The defense that I don't think we underplayed it, but I think as Vikings fans, I'll speak for myself. I spent most of the year thinking about the Seahawks in the context of what Sam Darnold was giving that team. And you're looking at the way Clint Kubiak dials in and dials up the run. And that tandem for most of the year was Zach Charbonnet. And wow, did I have the wrong opinion on Kenneth Walker maybe potentially stumbling without that second option in the backfield. What a terrible thought that was. Kenneth Walker was terrific last night. But I spend the whole season thinking, how's Sam doing? Oh, if they're going to go anywhere, it's going to be up to Sam, the way that we would have spoke about our own struggles at the end of last year. Meanwhile, you go up and down that list, man. I mean, it's old McDonald or Mike McDonald with a Lawrence here and a Byron Murphy there and a Leonard Williams here and a here's a Jones, here a Mafe everywhere. It's insane what he put together. And you dig deeper into, albeit a short tenure, his team never loses on the road.
Never.
Because of the run game and because of the defense. Oh, did this guy just pop up out of nowhere? No big deal. He just managed top 5 defenses as a coordinator with the Ravens. Prior to that, he's learning from Wink Martindale and Dean Pease and elite top 10 equity at the linebacker spots, DBs in Baltimore for all those years. Started out as an intern with the Ravens like a decade and change ago. So he's been on that defensive bent for so many years, finally gets the opportunity. He's in conjunction with the GM that gave him all the fun toys to work with. The defense, not just the story of their playoff run, but really their year. And I spent so much time thinking about Sam the Man, formerly on the Fan. It really clicked last night, I would say in earnest, that this team built for January runs, built for February fun, and that's why they're hoisting their second trophy in like 12 or 13 years.
All prescient and learned takes into the game. Then they played the game.
Yeah.
Ooh, geez. With that Super Bowl.
Well, it was, so for Drake, for Drake May.
Paul, you're not appreciating the twists and the stunts of the defensive linemen for New England and Seattle.
Yeah, it's difficult for me to walk into any Super Bowl and just say this team's going to get waxed. Drake May had not had a terrific postseason by any measure. But you had half the Denver game, he's playing in the snow. It's kind of just grind it out, get out alive type of scenario there. The Chargers have a right to impact things. The best defense in the NFL, the Houston Texans, he battled against them, dropped the ball a couple times. In the end, I'm still thinking Drake's going to be chasing in this game, but you're going to find productivity. So I had a big Diggs opinion into the game. It's like, okay, bright lights, star. I think he has 500 or 600-yard games all season. But this would be where you see Diggs rise to the occasion, maybe albeit in a loss. Okay, well, I think he had 1 catch for 5 yards. He's spinning the ball like he just made the play of the game, down by like 20 points in the fourth quarter last night on a connection, stuff like that. So I'm thinking, hey, you can see in Ramondre gets into the end zone. There were some things that played out. But their run scheme against that Patriots defense, the Seahawks. Okay, well, you got Milton Williams. You paid him $100 million for good reason.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're just going to stretch you out to the corner. I got Barner. I got these tight ends for days, and I'm just going to mash and get these small little lanes, and I'll get you 7, 8, 9 yards. You're gonna get them stretched out, and a loss of 2 is going to be in the mix too. But over the course of the game, you cannot stop us if we get to the boundary on the ground. It was masterful work by the Seahawks.
Pete Bercich, the in-booth analyst for the Minnesota Vikings KFAN audio network, will be joining us very shortly to see what's on his mind.
You guys want to get some action?
Well, if we did, finding it during the Super Bowl, offensively speaking, probably would be a bad idea. Seattle couldn't throw it a majority of the game, and the Pats were inches from a couple of pick-six opportunities. But the champs covered up the quarterback with a consistent, wide, sweeping running game. And off Nordo's point, adroit as it was, they made talented corners tackle and did enough with the Michigan tight end to close when they had to close. And Drake May just was not getting that from his running game and was forced to throw more than they absolutely wanted him to. And when he had to throw more and it was confusing, looks like zone, probably is man, maybe it's man, looks like zone. When all that transpired, well, the Tsuyoshi Nishioka impersonation was stealing the show and stealing the dreams of New England Patriots fans. This is a Steve's Appliances marathon segment. Steve's Appliances, love you. President's Sale in play. If you need appliances, give the standalone little guy store a chance and learn more at stevesappliances.com. Good morning, Pete. Thanks for calling. What's going on?
Not much. Good morning. How are you?
All right, brother.
Getting ready for the combine.
Yeah, it's a couple of weeks, right?
It's that time of year already.
Seattle's willingness to consistently run and find new ways to do it, in my estimation, dictated the tempo of Super Bowl 60, and that tilted the scales the way of the NFC team. How do you see it, my brother?
Yes, I would agree with you completely on that. Mainly in the fact that neither offense was able to throw the football very well, right? I mean, both offenses, the timing just wasn't there. You saw Darnold miss, he and Cooper Kupp just, not on the same page. And then same thing with New England with Drake May. I mean, he held the football way too long. You look at the box score, I think both quarterbacks are hovering around 50%. The difference and the reason why Seattle was able to put up points in the meantime was just how well that they ran the football. Kenneth Walker ended up being the MVP, and I think rightfully so, in that was the only difference in the beginning of the first half, 3 quarters of that football game was just Seattle's ability to run the ball. That's why you got to have balance as an offense. And either team could throw it or throw it very effectively. And New England scored some field goals along the way just because they made some bigger plays on the ground.
All right, now Super Bowl 61, P-Tom, is at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. All right, so envision this. Say the Vikings finally climb that hill and get there and play the L.A. Chargers, and the L.A. Chargers are the home team at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know where you're going with
Ladies and gentlemen, with that speaker in front of the box. I mean, it'd be like we finally get the opportunity to call a Super Bowl game, and then we got that big-ass speaker right in front of us, and just when you're formulating some elite take on how to jump cut on Khalil Mack and win Super Bowl 61, right in the middle of it, ladies and gentlemen, this year's commemorative coin. I mean, it'd just be the box of all boxes be just jumping on you.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be. It'd be the one stadium that it's kind of like one stadium you really wouldn't want to go to for a Super Bowl.
We'd take it.
Because it would, of course you would take it, but it would feel like you're at a Elton John concert, not necessarily a football game.
I thought about you in the early stages of Super Bowl 60 yesterday because when you got extra time and you have a voluminous amount of film, tape, plays that you can look at and channel your inner Flores on a key 3rd and 7, which New England did one time on Sam Darnold, and it worked. And you can just pull from this, from here, and that from there. And you know what? Kenneth Walker ran between tackles 68% of the time during the 2025. Well, he's going to run outside of the tackles 88.5% of the time in Super Bowl 60. And what I'm talking about, and why I thought of you, unscouted looks. Unscouted looks and gotchas happen early in every Super Bowl. Like defensively for Seattle, Devin Witherspoon forcing early punts by himself, blitzing like 10 times. I mean, those unscouted looks when it may only be one play, gotcha. But being a coach and putting those together, I mean, that just sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, New England. Yeah, well, I mean, I think New England took advantage of Seattle's right guard. Is it Bradford? Is that his last name?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's his last name. Yeah, because Zabel is doing a great job on the left side. Lucas is a very good tackle on the left side of the Seattle offensive line. But they did a lot in those A and B gaps to that side of the Seattle offense. And conversely, the New England has the first offensive line in the history of the NFL that had 2 rookies on one side. Bradbury he's a good player, but just putting on a Patriots helmet's not going to turn him into something that he wasn't here. When you can get him soloed one-on-one with the defensive lineman and some of those big defensive linemen, Byron Murphys of the world, he's going to struggle, and he did, and that's again why New England didn't move the ball. But Kenneth Walker, with Charbonnet being out, Kenneth Walker knew it was going to be on him. And man, he really, I think, answered the call. And it was a lot of his 3 and 4 yard runs that he was hit behind the line of scrimmage and just kept himself going. So I was very impressed by him. And yes, you're right. It wasn't, you didn't see teams getting outside of New England, right? Because it's that 3-4 front and they, keep contained. But yeah, they managed to use the wide receivers and the tight ends block, and Kenneth Walker, you can't reinvent the wheel in the 2 weeks leading to the Super Bowl. You can't make your offense something that it's not. But the Seattle made enough changes to give New England some things that they hadn't seen, and it was effective. A couple trick play here and there, and especially in the beginning when everybody's still emotional and still maybe a little adrenaline flowing, and taking the field goals and putting points on the board when they had the opportunity. It's just a little different feel from what we've seen in the NFL, and I thought it was a fun game to watch in that regard.
Analyzing Super Bowl 60 with Pete Bercich, analyst for the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Audio Network, former linebacker for the Vikings, and for 5 years, former linebackers coach for your favorite team. KFAN Sports Talk Time is 9:21. What'd you think of Darnold?
I thought, what Darnold didn't do was make mistakes, right? He, was, again, both quarterbacks in the beginning hovering around 50%, 70-something in the passer rating. Just nothing huge, but he took a couple of shots down the field. I believe, one was to Njigba, the other one was to Rashid Shaheed, and barring a couple of unbelievably good plays by the New England defense, that those could have been explosive. And I think that's the element to that Seattle offense that they were missing. And that's what Darnold brought. And, I kind of said it. I've said it before where Darnold, I think, he got lucky. And I don't mean to take anything away from him by saying that. But, man, you talk about an inspiration to a lot of quarterbacks that were drafted highly, let's say, and have kind of, fallen into a backup role. I mean, he came here and was fortunate enough that the starter or the guy he was competing with was injured. He got to play 17, 18 games here, did very, very well. At perfect timing as a free agent, which was smart on his part. And then you had a team in Seattle that just needed a quarterback who could get down that vertical element of the offense, right, that he added this year. Really, I think, made the difference for Seattle. And, the Super Bowl was really the NFC Championship game. I think the Rams and Seattle, those two teams were probably the two best of the four that were left. And Darnold had a big, big part in that game. So, for the folks out there who you don't walk away saying, man, Darnold, thank God they had Darnold and he helped them get to the promised land. He did the game before for sure. And I guess that's the difference between he and Drake May. Drake May took a few more sacks early, a lot more sacks early. And then you have the two turnovers. So, it's not a huge difference, but in a game like that, it ended up being all of it. So I think Darnold played pretty smart. Didn't get frustrated. Didn't try to start making plays. There was no desperation in that regard. There was no trying to throw a ball behind himself when he's rolling out. He just played a very smart football game, and that's what they needed because they got a defense that's that good.
Pete Bercich, analyst for the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Audio Network. McDonald is 7-0 against quarterbacks 24 years of age or younger. All right. I mean, these kids have no chance against this guy. But why?
I think it's a lot or similar to Brian Flores. I know Brian Flores has a very good record against younger quarterbacks. Maybe Caleb Williams might have gotten him a few times early. But they throw a lot of different things at you, and Seattle did a great job of showing one thing and then playing another. And it took Drake May a little while to figure it out. Now, as Drake May gets older and gets through a few seasons and campaigns, he'll have all that down where he'll have a much better feel for what's going on out there. But you could just see him hesitating and not wanting to throw the football, right? And so he was unsure of what he was looking at down the field and decided I'm not going to throw this thing away or force it. Held on to it, and that resulted in a bunch of sacks for Seattle. So yeah, he did a great job of just switching enough things up and having that flexibility with the defensive backs in the backfield. Those guys, his defensive backs, are a lot like ours in that they have a lot of flexibility against playing the run and blitzing and doing all those things. So they need that joker kind of a player. And they use them very well. And that defensive front, again, I think their defensive front is very, very, very good. Their linebackers are very aggressive, and they use that. So just getting the right guys to fit your scheme, and for Drake May, he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better, and New England's going to be a problem.
Time for two more.
Hey, how much in a copycat league, Pete, are teams sitting at home on their respective couches or at their facilities going, what Mike McDonald did here, what Kubiak did there, I want to figure out how to put that into my mix for 2026 as we are all spectators now watching the Seahawks win. How much do teams do that this time of year, trying to pull little bits from the best to make themselves better?
They do. They pull. This is the time of year when you sit down and watch what they do. It'll be interesting to see if teams start kicking field goals in the red zone instead of going for it, because I think McDonald did it. He kicked more field goals in the red zone than any other team in the league. So it's that we're it's data driven now, and teams want to. And they know that if they can just convert one or two of those red zone fourth downs, that's going to help them out. Even if they give the ball up, the other team has to go a long way with the kickoffs going to the 35s and all that. But yeah, he decided to kick field goals, and so maybe that would be a trend that you're going to see. But outside of that, I didn't see. Seattle's not a huge. They're very data driven. I know that Brian Ayers is out there, Mike Ayers' son, who was with the Vikings for so long. He's kind of the godfather of film and data. And I know Brian's out there. He's involved in doing a ton with them. So they integrate all that information in a very modern way. But it's just interesting. On the field, it's kind of hard to tell where that's sneaking in, where those decisions are creeping in. So I think that's one area where other teams maybe not. So I guess to answer your question, maybe not what they do on the field, but how they integrate a lot of their research and data team, and the things that they do with the different Python programs and all that to break teams down and present it to players and come up with game plans. So there's a whole data-driven side to Seattle, I think, that teams may want to look into or are going to look into.
All right, Mr. Peter.
The Analyst.
That's it for the 2025. What's next for the Minnesota Vikings will be a common thread, 9 to noon. And as you mentioned a few minutes ago, see you at the Combine in a couple of weeks. And I have two mandatory things for us in Indianapolis, please. That Monday, we attend Courtney's Women of the NFL event. And Tuesday night, when bored and ready to come home, we do another McDonald's run and bond, okay?
Done.
Thanks,
Done.
brother. Have a good day.
Put it in the books.
Appreciate you. See you, bud. Pete Bercich, analyst for Minnesota Vikings football on the Fan. That's part of the TimberTech What's on Deck set list today, which includes Vikes Bites, a couple of segments from now, and Chris Hine, who covers the Minnesota Timberwolves for the Star Tribune. He's next segment. T-Wolves have lost 3 of the last 4. Just got beat by 20 at home yesterday after blowing a big lead at home against New Orleans. Times maybe a bit tenuous for the Minnesota Timberwolves right now. We'll get to the pulse with a scribe who covers the team for the Star Tribune. Good morning. It's Paul Allen. Nordo by my side. cash thing coming at you now.
The Fan wants to give you a chance at winning some cash, some bonus bucks, in fact, with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword friend. You might win some money with the keyword friend. You just enter that in now at KFAN.com.
And joining us now is Chris Hine, covers the Minnesota Timberwolves for the Star Tribune. Also author of a book, Ant, The Incredible Journey of NBA rising star Anthony Edwards. Thank you very much for helping us, Chris. The basketball team, I mean, they've lost 3 of 4, and the record's still good, and they're still a postseason team, but it feels like they can't win all of a sudden. Do they need the break to get away from each other and come back cohesive and confident, or are there deeper problems brewing? And good morning.
Good morning, PA. Yeah, I think the break will do this team a lot of good, just mentally and emotionally at this point. It's been I think especially the last 6 weeks has been really rough for this team. They've had some nice winning streaks in there, and they had some nice wins in the month of January and early February here. But when they've gone into these little kind of losing streaks, they lost 5 in a row. New Year's Eve in Atlanta, they got crushed. And last night and then Friday night, it looks really bad when they lose. They haven't had really it's just from appearances, it just looks really bad when they lose anymore. Memphis the other night, they didn't have much effort on the defensive end. That carried over into New Orleans and last night. So I don't quite know, what it's going to take for this team to come out and play with maximum effort on a nightly basis. You hear this a lot covering the NBA, that teams really don't start to take the regular season seriously until the All-Star break gets here and the playoff push finally gets here in mid-February. So maybe the Wolves are one of these teams. That's the glass half full kind of optimist view you could take here. The pessimistic view is this just who these guys are? And is that going to show up once April gets here and the postseason gets underway?
All right. So, Kawhi is HOF. All right. Now, so Kawhi had a big game, but, the Timberwolves aren't the first team to be on the wrong side of a big game by Kawhi Leonard. Overall, and I guess outside of that, what happened against the Clippers? I mean, a 20-point loss at home is bad for business.
It was, I think, a little bit of a reversal from Friday night. You played Rudy's comments there. The defense was the issue, especially in the second half of that game. I actually thought last night they came out with a pretty good defensive mindset, energy. First quarter, they only allowed, I think, 23 points, even though Kawhi was getting his. It was the offense that was out of whack last night. Right now, it's too ISO heavy. Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards got to inspire a little more ball movement. When Jaden McDaniels and Dante DiVincenzo are only combining for 3 points in a game, that tells you that something's wrong with the offense. Those guys feed off the movement. They feed off of the gravity that Randle and Edwards can create, and not just kind of standing around and watching those guys do their thing, dribble, shot clock gets low, put up a shot. Right now, that's kind of where the Wolves' offense is. Defense also helps with that. Getting out in transition, guys tend to get open along the perimeter for open threes and stuff like that. But overall, right now, the offense has to regain its rhythm as well.
Hey, Chris, to open the segment, I played some audio following the Pelicans L, and you hear Rudy Gobert talking about accountability and urgency. I'm just curious if you have any vibe in terms of how loud his voice resonates among those in the dressing room with him. Those comments resonate with us. We hear it, we see it on social media, we react to it. How much does his voice resonate with his teammates?
I think it's indicative of how they generally talk to each other as a whole. I think Rudy was obviously very frustrated on Friday night, felt like he had to come out and say that stuff to the media. We talked about it with Finch the next day. He said we addressed Rudy's comments in-house. We'll leave it at that. I think people from the outside tend to think that there's not a lot of accountability with this team sometimes, that they don't try to hold each other accountable, or Finch doesn't get on them. That's the opposite of what I think all of us have written over the years about this team. And when you hear them talk about that stuff, they do get on each other. They like to have a culture where they can quote unquote tell hard truths to each other. I think that's part of what Rudy was doing. But I will say there was an edge to Rudy's comments, especially when you start suggesting that the coach should start benching players who aren't giving effort on the defensive end. That wasn't necessarily present in media sessions that Rudy has given before about this topic. So it was a little atypical, and that's why I think it raised a lot of flags for fans around the organization, or not around the organization, but just people that follow the team, because it was a little out of the ordinary. But I think overall they do tend to have this kind of hard truth telling culture. And you have to manage that too. You can't be saying things that are going to hurt people's feelings or that are going to be out of line at the same time as well.
Chris, you do a really good job on the beat, in my opinion. And you know, whether it's from you or anybody else covering the team, unless I've missed something specifically in the last couple of weeks, you never, you know, hear like any sourcing or anything from the locker room where, you know, somebody is saying that like Chris Finch's message has gone stale or it's just not resonating the way it has. In fact, the equity here with the comments specifically from Edwards over the years has been, no, it's not him, it's us. No, it's not him, it's us. So do you think in any way that message has gone stale?
I don't get that sense. No, I think they recognize that it's more of a me problem, you know, the issues that they have to iron out. I think another thing this team recognizes is that they can be very moody and very emotional. They have a lot of moody players, and sometimes when those moods fluctuate, the performance of the team fluctuates with those moods. And I don't know how much of that, you know, you can make the argument. I don't know how much of that is on coaching at the end of the day. How much of it is just, this is who these guys are. That's kind of what I'm was saying before, is at what point, you know, does this become, you know, a part of who this team is? And I think you're seeing that now, is that the emotions and the moods with which this team goes through a season, I don't know if a coach can save that or rescue that. I think it's just a part of who these guys are. Now, sometimes that benefits this team when you have that edge and you have that energy and you can harness that emotion and play with it. We've seen this team play really well at times, but more often than not this season, you know, even in some wins that they have that were, you know, less than inspired along the way, they just don't seem to really have a collective kind of good spirit about them. And I think that's one of the biggest issues right now. And I don't think that's a coaching thing. I think it's kind of who these guys are at the end of the day.
All right. So they failed to score at least 100 for the second time this season. And Finch post-game mentioned a lack of offensive structure. A, how are you reading into all of that? And B, Chris, what do the players consistently do wrong during this time where they've lost 3 or 4? Is there like a common thread here?
Yeah, that's just it. You know, Friday night it was the defense. Yesterday it was mostly the offense that was out of whack. So I don't think that there's necessarily been a common thread in this particular instance. But I think if you look big picture here, it's playing smart basketball at the end of the day on both ends of the floor. And on defense, that can manifest itself in a couple different ways. You know, being prepared to play help defense, low man defense, being prepared to knowing the scouting report and closing out on certain shooters, or knowing who not to close out on. They've admitted, and we've written as much, that they sometimes struggle with the game plan execution at times. On offense, I think Finch is referring to that structure, because if you call plays early in the offense, it directs the ball to certain guys off of those play calls. Again, you know, when Jaden McDaniels and Dante DiVincenzo are only getting a couple of shot attempts per game, that's probably what he means there, is finding a way to funnel the ball to those guys to get them some opportunities, getting them into that offense and inspiring that movement instead of being a free-flowing, kind of unpredictable offense like Finch tends it to be. So I think overall this team just has to smarten up at the end of the day on both ends of the floor. And that's the common thread, I think, if there is one.
Chris Hine covers the Timberwolves for the Star Tribune. Time for two more. He also has written a book, Ant, The Incredible Journey of NBA Rising Star Anthony Edwards. You can find that where you would find books, Nordo.
Yeah, you get a chance now, kind of just in general with the squad. You see Ayo Dosunmu now wearing a Wolves jersey. Get to see him, albeit it's a tough game. Kawhi gets loose and it's a lopsided scoreline. But what do you think of Ayo and just kind of pie in the sky or 10,000-foot view? Does it make sense, the addition, and can you picture what that looks like when things are going good?
Yeah, I thought he actually had a pretty good debut yesterday overall. I think you can see what he brings to the table. The first bucket he had came as a result of him diving on the floor for a loose ball, and it led to a transition opportunity that he ended up converting. And that, I think, in a nutshell, is what he's going to bring to the table. Defensive energy, which, again, what this team needs. Another point of attack defender, somebody who can handle the ball a little bit, somebody who can shoot the three. He's having a career year from three-point range. So I think he fits a lot of what this team was lacking when Nickeil Alexander-Walker went to Atlanta in the offseason. So I think it's a good addition, but I don't think he's not going to come in and fix all these issues by himself. He can be a big part of what helps them, and he can be a burst of energy that they need right now at this point in the season as he gets more accustomed to how they play. There's certainly going to be a little bit of a ramp-up period as he gets used to his new teammates and a new system. But I think you at least saw the glimpses yesterday of what he can bring in terms of energy, effort, and defense.
All right, lastly, my man, Atlanta's here tonight. Jalen Johnson, one of the best players in the NBA, having an MVP-type season, quite honestly, but he plays in Atlanta, so he has no chance to win it. Getting swept by the Hawks, I mean, that's bad for business. What do you think about tonight?
Yeah, like you mentioned, I think Jalen Johnson is one of the more under-the-radar elite players in the NBA. You look at his stat line, he could go for a triple-double at any given moment. And, old friend Nickeil Alexander-Walker is having a breakout year for the Hawks as well. And, he's going to be fired up coming into Target Center tonight to play his old team. Atlanta is very much a franchise in transition. They made the move to get rid of Trae Young and Kristaps Porzingis went at the deadline. So, very much a franchise in transition. But again, you look at that roster, it's going to be guys who give maximum energy, led by Nickeil. It's going to be guys who try hard on the defensive end of the floor. And if you don't bring it against them like the Wolves didn't on New Year's Eve when they were in Atlanta, it could end up being a night like last night or a night like they had when they went down to Atlanta. So this is going to be a moment where the Wolves, even though they're on a back-to-back and it's a tough moment in the season right now for them, they got to bring it or else they're going to get embarrassed again.
That was fantastic. Continued success with the book. Thank you very much for the time, all right?
Appreciate you, PA. Thank you.
Yep, likewise. See you. Chris Hine covers the Timberwolves for the Star Tribune, startribune.com. Once again, if interested, go to where you buy books. Look for Ant, The Incredible Journey of NBA Rising Star Anthony Edwards, written by Chris Hine of the Star Tribune. All right, here's the deal. Vikes Bite's around the corner. And then after that, we're going to get over to Milan, Italy. And we are going to call friend Parker Fox frequently this week. It starts today, where his fiance, Taylor Heisey, not only scored her first Olympics goal Saturday against Finland, she and the Team USA women's hockey team play a 1:40 today against Switzerland. And he's on air, on site, on demand, and he's on fire. That takes place at about 10 o'clock. 9 to noon continues after that.
Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites.
Where you been all my life, Vikes Bites?
Just a little shorty for you on a Monday 9 to noon, a baby game, if you will. But Vikes Bites, I'm watching Sam hoist a Lombardi. My favorite team's not in the mix, trying to figure out what the first step forward is for Mr. Brzezinski and the front office staff. Combine in 2 weeks. Plenty of things to discuss. But right now, a baby game. It's called Over or Under. So, Will Ragatz, I believe he writes for SI, but he covers the Minnesota Vikings, and we appreciate him for it. He put some percentages on impending Vikings free agents. Hey, percentage chance so-and-so comes back. So in baby game fashion, I'm just going to simply hit you with the number, and you tell me over or under, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to start with 20% that Harrison Smith returns to the Minnesota Vikings. 20%.
Well, I mean, that's supposed to be a shove in all the black and banana chips and the purple chips to the middle of the table and say under. But I mean, B-Flow's back in the mix. Harrison's playing quite well. But then after all of the celebration in the stadium and the media and the comments and everything, how do you come back from that?
Yeah.
You can look the other way and I guess let them do it again? Well, that would be normal. I mean, that wouldn't feel awkward, would it? Would it? I say less than 20%. I say less than 10%.
Ooh.
What about you?
Well, I like that number because it's a non-zero chance.
Right. 20 is a fantastic. It's a fantastic line setter.
There are so many different checkpoints along the way, and part of this too. Like we got to see what free agency looks like. They got some work to do with the draft. They get some stud safety in the first round. Let's say maybe that alters the conversation, or does it? Or just before camp, Harrison's like, "Man, just spent man, the legs are feeling really good. I'm in."
Well, see, the thing with Harrison...
Or week 7, he's bored sitting at home. He's like, ooh,
yeah,
I kind of got to play.
But, see, Harrison, don't take this 10 to 10 because a lot of players, OTAs, meetings, there are only so many things you can do on the grass. Can coaches be out there or not? There is some tedium to it.
Yeah.
The Harrison Smith that I've always known, I think enjoys might be the wrong word, but he bites the bullet on that time of the year because he knows that time of the year is important from a scholastic standpoint, and plus he gets to be with his dogs. So, when organized team activities begin in March? Don't know, March, April? That's something Harrison normally would be a full participant.
Right.
So there all the time, maybe a little in and out later in his career. So that's really when this 20% thing's going to start bearing its fruit.
I like that. All right, so we're under for now.
I am
for now. I think I'd go over. I'd go over, and then I'd bust just like I tried to bust on a 30-plus Rashid Shaheed reception last night, and Christian Gonzalez ruined me.
Oh, geez, you had a prize picks with Shaheed getting behind the defense.
Oh, of course I did.
And he got behind the defense.
He got behind the defense
and
twice.
The pass, one of them. Floated a little bit and gave Gonzalez time to get there and knock it away.
Floated a little bit. Gonzalez knock away. Second one looked like Shaheed actually slowed down trying to motion for a flag.
Yeah.
And the ball was a yard in front of him. It was perfectly thrown by
either
Sammy.
Motioning for a flag or doing the old Randy Moss bit like here I am.
Yeah.
But way late in the equation, it slowed him down.
It did indeed.
Cost the con.
Can't slow down Eric Wilson. What about 70%? That Mr. Wilson is back in purple.
I say...
I like that number because I want it to be.
Nice job. I say over. Yes, I think to identify priority free agents, I have no idea who's a priority free agent for him. If it's me and I'm next to Briz, well, then it's like a little nudge here, a little nudge there. He went 1.5 to 3. So Kwesi and crew... to get him here, don't call anybody. We're going to double your 1 year salary.
Yeah.
And always liked it there. So did my mom. Well, what is the next situation?
Let's double it again.
Well, if I'm Team Wilson, I need 2 years. Now, granted, I'm around 10 in my career, but if I'm Eric, I need 2 minimum. I mean, my man hasn't had a 2-year contract in 10 years since he was undrafted out of Cincinnati, and his signing bonus was $10,000 or $80, one of the two, something like that. So I say above 70, and I think of those that are here, if he's to return, he will be one of the very first we hear about.
I like that early. Yeah, absolutely. And
early in the equation.
Probably does need a 2-year deal, a little guaranteed walking around money.
Now, what would you do? Would you do 2 and 10.5? Okay, so 5.5 a year.
Yeah.
Or 1 and 7.5? and do it again.
I think you'd do 2-12, and 9 of it is guaranteed.
Wow, that's fantastic. I like that. I didn't realize I was doing the show with Tom Condon.
Well, I'm not spending my own money, so it's easy for me to throw those numbers out.
Yeah, with Drew Rosenhaus, it's Paul Allen. Welcome to 9 to Noon.
Another couple for you here, and again, Vikes Bite style. This is thanks to Will Raggett's SI. He put some percentages on Vikings free agents. We'll dig more deeply into this, of course, as we near mid-March. But Jalen Naylor, this number got me a little bit. 30%. 30% on Jalen Naylor.
I'm lower, and he's gone.
And that's where that number got me. Is I was thinking 5%.
Yeah.
I was thinking 5% that he comes back, and that would be dictated upon some other, not nutty per se, but some other striking move maybe we haven't figured out yet that would necessitate keeping Mr. Naylor in the mix.
Well, quickly with Jalen, he improved last year. He's worked through some drop problems. He improved this year with the totality of his game, but he has speed. He's maybe the fastest guy on the team, or one of the 2 fastest. I've never been told whether he runs good or bad routes, but nevertheless, speed is coveted in the National Football League at the receiver spot. If only, think LA Rams, because if he's made available, I think he fits what the Rams do really well. Puka Nacua is high-end MVP type guy, but he ain't that fast. And so, therefore, you get speed on a team that has a player like Nacua.
Yeah.
And, well, then now you have to honor that speed because it's done some damage in the NFL, and I would think that would only help, Puka
till you're satisfied.
Whatever it is.
Carson Wentz, I like that he included this year. Quarterback conversation is going to be the absolute A topic, of course. He put him at 5%. But it is something we're going to have to start scratching our heads on. The names via free agency at the quarterback spot, not exactly world-changing names.
Got super steamy over the weekend. Got super steamy over the weekend. What West Durham, the Falcons Vox told us last week.
Yeah.
When I talked about Cuz Buzz with Kevin Calm. And he's like, March 13th, that's a big number. Kirk might not be big on restructuring.
Yeah.
So I do believe Cousins will be attainable in a month and change, or whenever, somewhere around there.
No, I think he will. It goes back to something we said a month ago, maybe, right after the season. If he comes in, he will win the job. I mean, am I too out of my mind just for saying that? If Kirk Cousins comes in and it's a true competition, I think Kirk wins that job.
Well, Kirk's not coming here unless he's told he wins the job.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, if Kirk's here, he's your starting quarterback. The Wentz number of 5 is good. If Carson were back with the team, fully healthy with a full offseason, I wouldn't be negative on that, personally speaking.
Neither would I. That's a little Vikes Bites for you.
Nice job.
Over on a little baby game before we head out to Milan.
Milan, faccio bella cara mia. Parker Fox joins us from Milan, Italy next on KFAN.